a general district hearing. They actually got arrested and were not released without any type of bond because that's how they're making money. So this is America. We need to make sure that this is not occurring. We need to lower our incarceration rates. We have a lot of work ahead of us. The group that I met is the Northern Neck Patriots. They've done an incredible amount of work to bring awareness as to what is happening in this jail in Warsaw, Virginia. They have a Facebook page, but there was only about 19 followers, and they actually have a really great letter to send out to the Board of Supervisors, so I would reach out to them to get a copy of that. I could try to post a copy of this letter so you can send it to the local Board of Supervisors regarding these human rights violations. All right, everybody take care. Jeez, I'm sorry. I had this psychopath on there. It totally distracted me, and I got to try to figure out how to block him.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
While you're doing it?
Yeah.
That's happened a lot to these guys. It hasn't happened to me so much.
It was like a huge distraction. So the question is, how do I block them?
All right, so we're going to do a prayer and then a pledge of allegiance. And that's how we start. You're welcome to be part of this and be in here and be on screen with us if you like. And I would like to give you a moment to talk a little bit about your campaign, what you're doing.
That is so nice. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because we've got time. Because the guys usually start calling around 7:30. And then, you know, so I drop everything whenever a call comes in. Put that on.
Sorry, I just had to clean that up real quick.
This is Cinco de Mayo. Okay, welcome everyone. We're here at the Northern Neck Regional Jail. This is May 5th, 2023, Cinco de Mayo. It is day 848 of the January 6th events where they started to lock people up the day of and immediately after the protests on Capitol Hill. As you know, we're here in support of the January 6ers who came through this facility. They're all gone at this point. But we're going to stay here to continue the vigils until we get more light shined on just what goes on inside these walls. There are abuses that have come to light, and we've got plenty of stories. We'll have folks calling in who spent time here to tell us about things and about their lives. But anyway, we'll start off with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance, and then we'll get into it. Heavenly Father, please watch over the men and women that are in this facility as inmates, as workers who are here on a daily basis. We know there are good people inside this jail that are trying to do their best. But please give the ones who are on the fence and have a hard time understanding the difference between right and wrong, the wisdom and ability to think about what it would be like and how they would like to be treated if they were in this same situation. Watch over the people that need help and need guidance. Give your strength to all of the J6ers that are going through sentencing and beginning to be dispersed around the country to serve out the remainder of their sentences. Please make sure that folks never forget what happened here, what happened in the Capitol, and help to find justice so that that sort of thing can never happen again. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so one of the things I would like to do right away here is introduce a special guest we have here tonight, Kimberly Lowe, who's running for Senate, and I'm going to let her say a couple of words here about what she's doing and why she's doing it. So, Kimberly, if you would.
My name's Kimberly Lowe. I'm running for U.S. Senate in 2024, running for the seat that Tim Kaine currently holds. That was Hillary's running mate. And Virginia is ready for a leader to come in and solve a lot of problems. A lot of these politicians have been in for way too long, and while we lose our freedoms on a daily basis. And I really want to thank groups like yours, the Northern Neck Patriots, because it's people on the ground like this who have made incredible improvements and touched so many lives. The horrors of January 6th need to not be repeated, and we have to do everything possible to get these individuals out of jail. They are simply political prisoners. We are so far gone in our republic, but I have hope with groups like this and all the patriots that are on the ground fighting that we will save our republic and we will make things right. The individuals that are in jail are going to end up being part of the solution to the problem. God has given them the strength to carry on while they're in jail, to learn great things, to take the time to read and grow, so that way they can come out to help solve problems in our nation. Because America has one of the top incarceration rates in the world, but yet we're supposed to be the land of freedom. But our freedom has been chipped away continually. One of the biggest things we have to solve is our court system. This is our civil and our criminal court system. They're admiralty courts. We've been sold a lie that this is the land of the just. And once people are arrested, it's extremely hard to get them out. It's a extremely large money business where people are lining their pockets. And I'm so thankful to this group for being a voice for those who did not have a voice themselves in this horrible system. And I know that they're going to come out on the better side of things, and the truth will be told. I was there on January 6th. We got there in the early wee hours of the morning. Even after something had happened at the Capitol, I knew nothing about it. I think if there had been an actual insurrection, then there would have been no one close to the Capitol building. We would not have been allowed to walk anywhere close to that direction. So America has been lied to, and what's happening in our jail systems has to change. I know most of you know about the abuses that have occurred in this jail, but in jails in Virginia and across America, they're doing horrible, horrible things to profit off of people. There's another jail in Virginia where if you don't show up for your general district court hearing, they are sending out CAPUS arrest warrants that they're sealing in juvenile court to arrest people, hold them without bond, because when they hold people in jail, they make money. Once they have people in jail, they're not giving them their medications. This is a very common problem. Luckily, there have been some really good state senators in Virginia that have been able to make phone calls to these jails to make sure people get the medications that they need. I know of one woman who missed a general district court hearing. And usually general district court is small claims court. It's nothing, of real importance. It's usually like some type of financial thing. It's a small financial amount. And she was having a baby, so she missed her court hearing. They arrested her, and she was away from her newborn infant in its first week of its life and not released. I know someone else whose dog got out. They arrested her because she missed a hearing about her dog, and they held her in jail and basically gave her food she was allergic to, almost killed her, couldn't get medical care. So this is an issue across the United States, and the only way to fix it is to make sure that our courts become constitutional courts. And that's something that I'm really fighting for, because if we have courts with accountability and we have constitutional courts, then we can fix election integrity. We can fix pretty much most of anything. But right now it's all a farce. But thank you so much for what you're doing. And I was just here, and my heart told me to come back. It was laying really, really heavy on me, and I always listen to my heart. So I came back because I want you to know that I support you in everything that you're doing. So thank you guys for giving me this time to talk.
Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate it very much. All right, I'm going to make a couple of calls here before 7:30 when the folks are supposed to start calling us in. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to all of the individuals that January 6ers that I know of that were through this facility. We may have missed a few, but alphabetical order by first name: Adam Jackson, Albuquerque Head, Andrew Taki, Barry Ramey, Brandon Fellows, Brian Jackson, Chris Quaglin, Daniel Rodriguez, Daryl Neely, Howard Adams, Howard Richardson, Israel Easterday, James Grant, Jeffrey Brown, Jonathan Manafo, Hosea Kenyon, Justin David Jersey, Cash Kelly, Cal Young, Lucas Denny, Mahila Pryor, Mark Mazza, Marcus Malley, Mason Corson, Mitchell Todd Gardner, Nicholas Brockhoff, Nicholas Langerand, Patrick McCoy, Ricky Wilden, Robert Morse, Ronald Sandlin, Ronnie Presley, Ryan Samsel, Samuel Lazar, Tim Boehner, Troy Sargent, William Norwood, William Reed, and Zachary Alum. And with that, we're going to try to get a hold of a couple of people that are also on the front lines fighting for this. And so we'll make a couple of calls here. I'll tee that up. How are you? Great. So I'm going to put you on the live stream here if you don't mind. And how much time do you have? 5 minutes for me? 10 minutes? Whatever? Okay. Awesome. Thanks. I'll put you on speaker. All right. We've got Mel, one of the folks, one of the most highly interviewing individuals out there, probably has interviewed more J6ers than just about anyone I know. So, Mel, welcome to the call.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much. I'm just so proud of you guys. So much respect to you for keeping up the good fight out there at the vigil at Northern Neck. And I just received a call today from Ryan Samsel, who we know was severely beaten there by the guards, and he has finally ended up now on his 14th stop in jails in Brooklyn. And he was able to call me. I got to talk to him for about 35 minutes, and he is dealing with ongoing severe medical issues. It's to the point where they think he has lymphoma, and so we're working hard to try to get him the medical attention he needs. And apparently, because he's dealing with a BOP prison, they look at things doctors than the U.S. Marshals system does. So there's not really a communication between these two groups. And because he is, held under U.S. Marshals, but he's in the BOP system, he needs, he's going to have to pay for his own medical on his own. And he described to me just absolutely horrific situation that he was in, and what he's gone through in great detail. And I actually just finished editing and uploading that episode of Justice in Jeopardy, and I'm about to put it out there for everybody to see. I highly recommend you check it out and share it, because this information has got to get out there, and he's got to raise some money so that he can get some help. I can't even believe this guy is still alive, to be honest, for what he's gone through. And we know he lost so much weight inside of Northern Neck. I think he's probably lost about 80 pounds total now. And this is serious, cruel, and unusual punishment. And, what we've gone through with all of the J6ers has brought so much attention to what needs to be changed across the prison systems in this country. We need oversight. We need outside oversight. All the other democratic countries in the world have outside oversight over their prison systems, and we got to get some changes made. We've got to get Congress on this. I did meet a couple months ago with a couple of Troy Nell's staffers, and Representative Nell's was, interested in making sure that our men and women were being properly treated in the prisons, because as a former sheriff in Texas, he knows a lot about how prison systems run, and was horrified with what was going on in D.C. and some of the stories we told him. So he did go in and visit there. But when I met with his staffers, I said, I explained that this had opened our eyes to what's going on, and that we really need to get some legislation out there that, this is something that would cross both sides of the political aisle. So there's no reason not to do this. This is something that, the Democrats have been yelling about and working on for so long, and now, we're seeing it too. And I think this is something that could really bring some unity in this country and get some things done. So, I know you guys have done so much work exposing what's going on, and it means so much. It means so much to these families, and I'm sure there's plenty inside of Northern Neck who want to see changes made, and we're seeing that this kind of stuff is happening at prisons all over this country. The treatment is despicable. It truly is.
Well, you're right about that. You know that we're working with some of the local folks here, and I think you've interviewed Debbie Hoven, mom of Daniel Wingo, and the medical issues that he's had to deal with.
Yeah, I've interviewed Daniel himself. And I've spoken to his mom several times. A great lady who's really doing a lot to fight for her son, who's been just treated horrifically. And some of that also has to do with the Judy he's had to go through is just unsafe. It's uncivil. It's inhumane. It really is.
Back to Ryan with the medical issues. I'm glad you shared that. Is he still? Did he lose eyesight in one of his eyes?
Well, he explained that in detail in our interview today, and it's the result of brain damage. So because of the swelling in his brain, he now has a stutter that he's never had in his life, and he's got really poor vision in that one eye. And he needs so much surgery. He went into detail about all the different surgeries he needs. And because of some pre-existing conditions, there's going to have to be 2 surgeons there for some of it. It's really touch and go. And this is something.
You to repeat again, Justice in Jeopardy, and how folks can go see that, and of course your website, if you would.
Yeah, so I've got a new website, and you can see all of my shows on there, and that is Sov Souls. That's Sov is short for sovereign, so it's SOVSOULS.US. And then you can also find me on Rumble as well as Spotify and all of the all of your audio podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Google, Apple, all of that stuff. And if you just search for Justice in Jeopardy, you should be able to find my podcast there.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Mel, how many...
It's funny because someone had asked me that a while back, and so I had to go through and count. And I think, I'm estimating it's somewhere over 70 different J6 political hostages at this point. And that doesn't count all the attorneys and other frontline fighters that I have interviewed as well as family members.
Well, that's a real achievement. Thank you so much for your dedication and doing all of that. And I'm sure there's plenty more to go. But you wanted to say anything? Oh, I know what it was. I asked you if you had kind of been observing any particular trends when you're talking to these folks, and if there's anything there you wanted to speak on.
Well, yeah, I'm just seeing that it's so hard for people to navigate the system. When there's issues, there's just miscommunication, balls dropped, and that just seems to be an ongoing issue in all of these prisons. Whether it's just somebody gets moved to another jail and some large amount of money is left behind in their accounts and it's not being transferred, they can't get it, or they need medical attention and it's just so hard to get that. So it's like we need to have a manual, a handbook that tells us how to do all these things, and everything varies from jail to jail as well. So that causes a lot of issues. But it's something that I find to be most distressing is some of these guys just losing hope and starting to feel despair, and it's rough because dealing with that ourselves, because it's just so hard to get ahead. Something else just comes along at every turn, and we've got to have unity in the community. We've got to have everybody working together, and everybody needs to remember who the real enemy is.
I agree with you completely, and especially the fact that this is a very emotional time for these guys as they're going into their sentencing, and maybe some of them are over the hump in terms of the time behind bars, but others have many months ahead.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've heard from these guys from the very beginning, is that they're afraid they're going to be forgotten once they're sentenced. And at that point, they're going to be spread out all over the place, and it's going to be different for the ones who don't have, they don't have a group of J6ers they're with anymore. So we're just going to have to keep fighting and keep on top of it and not forget these guys, because I think we had one that was sentenced today to 14 years. So and as we know, they're still arresting people every day. I think we're over 1,080 at this point, and they've promised us at least 2,000. So it's just it's a long battle we're in.
One of the things I think that we can encourage people to do is to adopt a J6er and just be that person that corresponds with them, gets on Core Links. That's CORRLINKS. I think it's a .com. Way once you sign up, that you can communicate with these fellows behind bars, and it's probably the most effective and easiest way for them. I don't think it costs them anything like phone calls do, so it seems to be really helpful.
Yeah, there's Core Links, then there's Securus, and there's also GTL.com. So we've got 3 different systems they use, depending on what jails they're in. But I know, is it Core Links that they use in Northern Neck, or is it Securus? I was thinking it was Securus.
I'm not sure what's here at Northern Neck, because I only started doing that with a few of the guys once they were in Lewisburg or up in Alexandria.
Yeah, and then the other way that's really important is to go to Patriot Mail Project and write to all of them, and that is just a fantastic resource for everybody, because these guys love getting mail, and they need encouragement, they need scripture, they tell them about yourself, they want new things to think about, new things to talk about, and just talking about that you spent your day in the garden and you're taking your kids to school, whatever it is. They're happy to strike up a conversation and a new friendship.
That's great advice. I think one of the things that it seems they really want to understand is just what's going on in the community. How's the weather? What's happening in this time of year. So it makes a lot of sense when you're behind bars to try to imagine a different, better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've encouraged these guys to do when they start feeling despair is they just need to turn to God, and they need to exercise, because I think those are two of the best ways to fight depression. So that's the advice I give them.
Well, Mel, thanks so much for your time and for everything you're doing, and again, encourage folks to look up Justice in Jeopardy and look up Mel's website at SOV as in Victor, Souls, SOULS.us. So, Mel, anything else that you'd like to mention?
No, I just want to thank everybody so much who is in this fight, and thank all of you for your hard work and for just plowing forward, because like I said, it's going to be a long battle, and we need lots of soldiers in this fight. So I appreciate all of you so much, and just share. My platform is for their voices, and my whole intention is for awareness and education, because we've got to wake up as many people as we can to what the truth is about everything.
10-4 on that. And so thank you so much again, and God bless you, Mel, and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate you. God bless.
Bye-bye. I had an ant crawling on my neck the whole time. So Mel is absolutely awesome. Hey Angie, you still free? Perfect.
Okay.
All right, so we've got Nnrj on here, mother of Mason Corson. Angie, if you just want to go ahead and tell us what's going on, I appreciate it.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Thank you for being out there, and thank everybody that's out there listening. Just letting you guys know, Mason's sentencing was moved once again. It's the third time, to June 16th. We're being told by his attorney that this should be the last and final time, so that date should stand firm. And there's still a possibility that the government will take him to trial on the other charges that he refuses to plead guilt on. So it's been a little nerve-wracking with this verdict that came out yesterday for the Proud Boys and so forth. Anyone that has to go to trial in DC understands that my nerves are destroyed and I'm not feeling well. The sentencing's delayed and so forth, but we're hanging in there, and he's doing his best to stay strong and hang in there in the meantime as well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and tell us again, he's in Lewisburg at this point, correct, or no?
Yes, he is still in Lewisburg. He's been there since about the 18th, I believe, or 16th of December, and he'll be there probably till a day or two before his sentencing in June. And then, my hope is afterwards they take him right back, because that place has been, I'm just praying that that's how they work it out. Not everybody seems to return there after their sentencing, so I'm just praying that God is good and he does get the opportunity to go back.
Yeah, I think there's something like 25 people up there, somewhere close to that, so it's really nice that they are together. We were just talking to Mel Hawley about how these people are getting dispersed around the country, and that's a little bit daunting for some of them. So I'm glad that they can be together and kind of have that fellowship.
Yes, and a lot of the guys in there he spent time at Northern Neck with. There's a lot of new guys as well, but they are all together in the same, pod or floor, whatever they call it there in Lewisburg. So they are together. So that always helps, I think. It doesn't necessarily mean they all are best friends. They have their cliques within the J6 group, but they are together and they stand, in unity. So it's definitely nicer to have numbers than to be alone.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How much weight did he put on when he went to Lewisburg, by the way?
So actually, ironically with him, he refused to eat the food at Northern Neck. So he was living off of ramen noodles, like straight commissary. He actually gained weight at Northern Neck and has now lost weight. He's done the opposite. So he's actually lost about 12 pounds. He's telling me he's working out every day. He's getting to go outside and run. He's lifting weights, and he said physically he's taking vitamins. He's getting sun. So these things have really made a huge impact on his morale, on his physical, not only in how he looks, but how he feels. And just mentally, it's been incredible. And the food, the diet, and the working out has been key.
Angie, I've got a call coming in, so I'm going to cut you off, but thank you so much, and you have a blessed evening, okay?
Thank you, Tom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This call is from a federal prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Kelly Meggs.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept this call, press 5. To block this call, you may begin speaking now.
Hello, doing great. This is Tom. Who have we got?
My name is Kelly Meggs. I don't think I've ever talked to you guys before, and I was never in Northern Neck, so 2 years, and I just got moved here 2 months ago. So I made it out to a better place.
And where is here, Kelly?
Lewisburg.
All right. That sounds great. So yeah, there's a.
And the other guys, so they said you guys have a little support group there for us. You guys do vigils for us regularly, and we just want to call in and thank everybody for everything they do.
Well. Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know if anybody's familiar with me. I'm one of the Oath Keepers that was convicted of seditious conspiracy back in November. They moved us out of D.C. 2 months ago, primarily because the Congress people were coming to visit, and they wanted to speak to anyone who did not have any violent charges. And being that the only 2 people there without violent charges were me and one of the other Oath Keepers, they took us out of the facility and moved us here. In another 2 to 3 weeks, we can get sentenced. So.
Well, that's just sort of seems like par for the course. They want to keep a lid on as much as they can, right?
Yeah, they certainly don't want everything to get out the way it is, and just a lot of bad news this week. I know we just had one of the guys that was in D.C. He just got convicted. He was in trial in November as well, and he just got sentenced to 14 years. So this is the new high bar for everybody. So that's not really a good thing to have happen as we're all getting ready to go to sentencing. I know Robert Morris that's here is getting ready to go to sentencing. Nick that's here is getting ready to go to sentencing, and Bees is going to be going to sentencing at the beginning of next month. So there's quite a few of us that are heading that way in the next few weeks. So it's not good to hear that they're still swinging for the fences on these sentencings.
Kelly, hang on just a second. Tell me where you're from first. We've got a guest here who wants to speak to you for a second. But first of all, tell me where you're from.
I'm originally from Ocala, Florida. Well, that's right. I mean, let's put it this way. That's right. That's where I lived prior to being arrested for January 6th. But I was living in Florida for the last, like 47 years. So.
I know.
A little farm down there. Me and my wife were both arrested on January 6th. Not on January 6th, but for January 6th. She was with me that day. She went to trial and lost as well, so she'll be getting sentenced here eventually. But fortunately, the judge let her out on bond. So she's been on home confinement for the last 2 years, and I've been locked up for 28 months now.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that on both counts. So we've got a guest here tonight, a candidate for Virginia, for Senate from Virginia, and this is Kimberly Lowe wants to ask you a couple of questions here.
Yes, go ahead.
Either one. Speak into that.
Great. Can you hear me okay? I am so sorry for everything you've been through. I'm running for a seat which would allow us to flip the U.S. Senate, which would give us control so we can address abuses. We are not going to stand for these political injustices. We are going to turn this country around, and everyone that was held will come out as heroes in this country, and you can tell your children and your grandchildren and stories to be told, and we will honor you, and we are not allowing people to stay in jail for 14 years. We will fight and we will stand up. We are the people. and just give everyone hope that there are people out there fighting on the ground on a daily basis. We are not going to allow this to happen. I have personally marched with the Proud Boys with my children in the streets of Washington, D.C. I was there. Please, no one come arrest me. Like, please. Just, I'm telling you to hold hope, because the people are coming and we're not going to allow this.
Well, good. That's great to hear. That is awesome to hear. And I know the things that they're doing are absolutely insane. Like the DOJ, my primary charge, obviously I was convicted of seditious conspiracy. That carries absolutely no weight. There's no penalty for seditious conspiracy. It's the underlying charge that you're convicted of, which in my case was obstructing justice, the 1512 charge that we've heard so much about. The problem that they're going to have is they're adding 11 points of enhancements. Like normally I would be looking at 41 months. I would be pretty much done. But they're adding an 11-point enhancement, 8 of them for obstructing, for threats and destruction of property during the administration of justice. And the second one is substantial interference with the administration of justice. Here's the problem. They have ruled that the 1512 charge is applicable to us, not because we obstructed justice, but because we obstructed an official 1512, Section C, Part 2. And it has an official proceeding before Congress. However, administration of judgment enhancements they cannot apply, because the separation of powers in our country prevents Congress from administering justice. Administration of justice can only occur in the judicial branch of our government. So therefore, these 8-point...
This call is from a federal prison.
...that these judges are letting slide through are unconstitutional, unallowed, and they should be taken to the Supreme Court.
And we need to hold these judges accountable too for this, because they have completely just gone the wrong direction.
Yep. So if you've got something that you want to talk about, it's these 1512 charges that are really basic charges of obstructing an official proceeding. It's a 14 points, it's 15 months, worst case scenario. And if you planned it, okay, it goes up to 20 months or something like that. But literally, they're adding all these enhancements that should not be allowed to apply to this charge, because Congress is restricted from administering justice, which is the only reason Donald Trump is still sitting in Mar-a-Lago right now. Because if Congress could administer justice, they would have arrested Donald Trump from the January 6th committee hearings, because that's all they did those hearings for anyway, was to create a case against him. So that right there in itself is proof that they do not have the power to administer justice. And if anybody's going to take up an argument on behalf of a lot of the Jan 6ers, that is one of the things that they're using to really hammer people. It's these 2 enhancements of 11 points. Takes your charge from a 3-year thing or a 1-year thing up to a 10 or 11-year charge. My current sentencing guidelines is 11 to 13 years. And realistically, it should be about 30 months, which I've already done.
And there's plenty of instances of people that have obstructed Congress. They like to pretend that that's not the case, but this has happened in the past. Actual disruption of the proceedings in Congress, and those people don't get anything near it.
Code Pink's done it on multiple occasions. The actual Democrats sitting down in the middle of a congressional hearing and meeting is an actual obstruction of Congress, but no one charged them with anything. The Kavanaugh hearings, when they were trying to get Kavanaugh into the Supreme Court, the fact that they rushed in there and shut that hearing down, that could have also been looked at as a 1512. But there's a lot of gray areas when they use this 1512C2 because of the term official proceeding. And unfortunately, all of the judges right now are siding with the prosecution on its validity. And I'm not really arguing the fact that it's not valid, because I can see that Congress could be an official proceeding based on the way it's written. However, the administration of justice enhancements are unconstitutional and should not be allowed. So it's my 2 cents for the evening.
Well, it makes sense, and it certainly is what folks have got to look at, because I do believe there's going to be class action lawsuits that come out of this, and that's going to be one way forward here, hopefully.
Hey, thank you all very much. I think up next is going to be Nnrj, and I'll have him call back here in just a few minutes, okay?
Kelly, thanks a lot, and appreciate speaking to you, and God bless you. Take care, okay?
All right, thank everybody for their support. We really do appreciate it. You don't know what it means just to have an opportunity to speak out, and just the people that are sending letters in and things like that. It's just really fantastic. Helping us with our commissary. All those things are really needed, and it's just really, really appreciated more than you guys will ever know. And we thank you very much.
We thank you, and God bless you.
All right, God bless America. Good night.
That's great. We've never spoken to him before.
Can I be the paparazzi and get my picture with you before it gets dark? Can you take my picture?
We can.
Even though we're live streaming?
If there's anything that you hear that you want to write down, like the names of people, for instance, that would be great. It'll all be on here, but if there's a website or something like that. All right.
Everyone live, they can virtually be with us.
There you go. You got it?
Yeah, I want to get your sign and the flag there. Okay. All right.
All right.
Double check it. I got you.
Thank you, that's so kind. You only got one.
Oh.
Because I missed the whole sign. I'm sorry. He only got one.
Kelly was oathkeeper, right?
Right. Yeah, right there.
Wow.
I got you.
Got it?
I'm sorry.
Try that one.
Thank you, everyone who's watching.
Someone was talking about a manual. We've got a manual here called the Northern Neck Regional Jail Manual. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but we've got another call coming in.
From a federal prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
James Tate Grant.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept this call, press 5. To block this call is all future calls. You may begin speaking now.
James, how are you?
Hey, Tom, I'm doing well. I guess as well as can be expected with the Proud Boys news. That's kind of messed up my day yesterday.
Yeah, that's some bad news for sure for everybody. But hang in there. You know they were going to make an example out of that as much as they could.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I gotta hope is that maybe now their bloodlust is a little sated and they might relax a little bit and kind of have the opinion to kind of get everyone else out of the way. But I don't know. I'm curious how other people thought of that on our side.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that probably the Kelly Meggs just talked to us and pretty much laid that out there for us, and I'm not sure that even everybody's really up to speed on all of it.
Yeah, he would be like an expert on it because he also was charged with the seditious conspiracy, which thankfully I don't have. But I mean, I'm still in shock for the whole thing. I mean, I touched a fence for like 10 seconds, and I've already been in here for 16 months, and I lost, a couple law school scholarships, an entire career I worked for. So, I'm still shell-shocked myself, and it's to the point now where I feel like no amount of bad news could like shake things up. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised by any amount of bad news. Like, if a nuclear bomb went off and we were just stranded out there, I would just kind of roll with it and like not even be surprised at this point. But yeah, so guys are out there in North. Do you think the people in the jail listen to these phone calls?
I'm pretty sure they do listen to them at some point. You know, I don't know that they can listen to what we're doing here now because you're not in this facility, but certainly when folks were here, I'm pretty sure that they would have.
Yeah, I remember when we were there, they were definitely saying they would make comments. I think Captain English. Actually, yeah, random guards would make comments that they heard us on the stream. But yeah, just if anyone is listening, that I mean, I don't know who would have the power to help shut down Northern Neck Regional Jail, but you know, if any state legislature is listening, please shut down Northern Neck Regional Jail. That place is so horrible, and I think it's the only place that's that horrible in the region. I've heard Rappahannock's pretty bad, but I can tell you from firsthand experience, no human needs to be treated like that. And I had the misfortune to spend 13 months there. Probably the only redeeming quality of the entire jail is there's one cute nurse named Nurse Bowling, but other than that, the place is terrible. And I hope she's listening. But other than that, the place has to be shut down. And I mean, yeah, just nobody deserves to be treated like that. It's a hellhole. And I don't know how, in you know, you see those shows Locked Up Abroad, and they don't look much worse than Northern Neck. I mean, you're just in a cold concrete cell with nothing. Hand-me-down books. I mean, the worst quality of books. They're like 1980 books that are, you know, crappy mystery books. And now, excuse me if I'm thrown off a little. There's a guy in here that. But he was in Northern Neck too. He was in there with us for a number of months. He had a medical issue in his stomach. He had been shot, and the medical care there was so bad that he had to be transferred here, which was a lot of people, which is crazy too because they tout Northern Neck as this place with great medical treatment, and they specifically send people there for medical reasons, and it's the most laughable medical care you've ever seen.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that last Friday, that was one of the sort of themes I was trying to from folks, I believe yourself even, and then I put that together for the jail board meeting on Wednesday, and I think it was pretty impactful. Of course, Ted Hall goes on and then completely tells his own story about how wonderful they are and all that, but I do believe every single board member there was riveted in listening to the stories that I gave, firsthand accounts from you guys.
That's awesome. Thank you. What so the board members have direct control, or they have a vested interest in the jail?
I don't believe they have a vested interest individually, but it seems that Gloucester County was the latest one to buy into it, so they're actually spending money, you know, on an annual basis to become a member here. But Westmoreland County seems to be the one that's benefiting the most and actually has more control over what happens. So you know, again, we just need to continue to work on those individuals, and we speak with them outside of this place. We've met with sheriffs, we've met with individual board members, and we're just going to keep chipping away at it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if reform would be possible, I would be for that, but just seeing firsthand how when they bring the marshals through or anyone, how they they'll make us clean up that day, which, you know, maybe somewhat standard stuff, but they go to so much lengths to hide all the bad stuff that I would be scared that they would just slip right back into the BS as soon as, you know, it seemed like the problem was fixed. I think there's something deeply wrong at a base level with Northern Neck. And while I was there, I had the misfortune to have a Give Send Go up and running. I just got to use the platform real quick to say that, a man named Randy Ireland was running a Give Send Go on my behalf, and it received a little over $10,000. I only received about a little over $4,000, and he's gone MIA with the rest of it, which, yeah, I feel like I lost a lot. Now I'm in here getting robbed while I'm helpless. So, this is James Grant. If anyone would like to donate anything, or at the very least, if you could reach out, if anyone knows Randy Ireland, and at least have him shut down the Give Send Go so it's not raising money in my...
This call is from a federal prison.
in my name on someone else's behalf, that would be great. But if anyone would like to send money, my federal number, so you can do it through the Western Union app, my federal James Grant, and you can do it through there with your credit card through Western Union. But really, if anyone could just get word to Randy Ireland to shut down the Give Send Go, that would be great, because I really don't like the idea of money being raised on my behalf, and obviously I'm not kidding. It makes me a little upset. In there at Northern Neck in those lovely conditions, and then find out I'm getting my money robbed from me. People were generous to give me donations, and I received a little less than half, so that was that was that was something. And something else I wanted to bring up was, I don't know how many people are familiar with a congressman named Eric Swalwell. He's no great fan of the January 6ers, and for so long they criticize all of any little mistake we made is hugely criticized and blasted on the media. So I want to criticize, and I hope he hears this, Eric Swalwell, who I think people remember. They may not remember because it's been hidden so well, but during one of his interviews, I think on CNN, Mr. Swalwell for a second paused and farted loudly on live air. And I think more people need to look up this video, because it's disgusting and it's disrespectful, really. And it's a gaffe, and I don't think he should get away with it. If he wants to criticize all the January 6ers, well, how about you breaking wind on live TV, Mr. Swalwell?
Well, I think we're going to have to look that one up. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, he literally pauses to do it for like a full couple seconds, and lets high school, college, I've never had to do that loudly. I mean, it was just, maybe he's so comfortable in his position, he thinks he can get away with that kind of thing. But it's very disrespectful to be doing that in his office. And I feel like if a Republican did that, he would never hear the end of it. He'd probably have to resign. But this guy's allowed to just, it's crazy. But
well, hey, I wanted to read to you what I believe these were your words from last one. I said a former inmate at Northern Neck Regional Jail told us recently, in his 13 months, he only got to see the doctor once, and that was after 8 requests. They don't pay anyone to clean the showers, so you're going to get toe fungus, and it's a widespread problem. And you finally got your Lamisil after 15 request forms. And you said it takes such a Herculean effort to get anything that most people just give up. Such describes the medical treatment at Northern Neck Regional Jail. And I did 4 or 3 other similar ones like that. So you guys were really, really awesome with that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That came out well.
Yeah, I think anytime we can use your words, and talk about your actual experiences, those people sitting around the board meeting, it's not just some facts or figures or something. It's personalized, coming from a human being, an individual who spent time here. And why would you make it up? I just, that's, to me, it's got to be believable, it's got to be.
Yeah, and it's such a specific problem. Who would make that up? I mean, that's something you really would have had to experience to even just say.
Yeah, 10-4. Well, all right. So, what's going on in your world? Where? I mean, your home. Where are you from? I don't remember, James.
So I'm from outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I mean, I spent my first 15 years up here in Pennsylvania, and then we moved to get my special needs brother some help down here in North Carolina. There's not too much help up in Pennsylvania. Despite being from North Carolina. Well, the part of North Carolina I'm from, everyone kind of has a Yankee accent. It's the city. But, yeah, I graduated from NC State University with a degree in political science, which as a conservative, that was really tough. I had one teacher, I know for a fact he dropped, I mean, I was running like a B+ the entire year. Then before finals on the last project, he gives me like a C- and gives me a C- on the final exam, which was, and then he drops out, and I think he went to like Guatemala or something to get a sex change. You can look him up. I think his name was Pat Roberts. He taught at NC State in around 2017. Stuff you kind of have to deal with in academia these days. But, yeah. But I still managed to graduate just barely with honors, but with honors. So I can say that. And you know, it took me about 7 years to graduate undergrad. I changed majors from criminal justice to political science, and transferred schools, and you lose a lot with that. And yeah, then I was accepted to the University of Alabama School of Law in Washington and Lee, up in Virginia. I think it's in Lexington. And this would have been my first year, but I'm in here, and I don't know. I feel like that whole path might be closed to me now, or at least a lot harder. So you stay awake at night thinking about.
Stop it.
Sorry, Tom, go.
We've got someone here that wants to say hello to you, and I'm going to hand her the microphone here for a second, okay?
All right.
Hey, my name's Kimberly Lowe. I'm actually running for U.S. Senate in Virginia 2024 to get rid of the Democrat Tim Kaine. There is so much hope. There are people on the ground like the Northern Neck Patriots. I am all over Virginia, and there are people fighting on the ground, and the people are not going to allow this. You're going to come out bigger, better, stronger. You're going to be the most incredible lawyer in the most effed up system that ever was. And now, because of your experience, imagine the number of lives you're going to be... Wait a minute, that says, okay. Imagine the number of lives that you're going to be able to help because of what you've been through. You're not going to rot in jail. American people are not going to let you rot in jail. We're trying to take this country back. I want you to have so much hope and let you know that really so many people are out here working hard, and they're making a difference every day. And you're going to come out above this, and you're going to help so many people because the hell you've walked through. I mean, really, I'm just like, I'm hearing so much negativity, but really, you're going to come out on top, and I'm sending you so much love. He's taking the mic from me.
Oh my gosh, Kimberly, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was
Kimberly Lowe, remember that name. You're going to see her, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think I'm usually. Thank you so much, by the way. That really filled me with a lot of hope. And you are a great public speaker, and I think you're absolutely going to win. And yeah, that was really inspiring. Thank you. I feel a lot better. I think I'm not usually that negative, but a lot of it is the Proud Boys trial yesterday. Definitely, you know, made things look a little harder, and made us feel a little, some type of way about that. But that's a great note to end on, too, because I'm getting beeped on the 1 minute mark. So thank you so much. This has been awesome, and I definitely feel better. And thank you, Tom, for giving us a platform. And thank you, everyone, for showing up. I appreciate it.
James, take care. God bless you. And as always, I enjoy talking to you, and hang in there. And it's gonna be good in the end. I feel it.
I hope so. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Good night. God bless.
Bless.
Very nice, Kimberly. That was good encouragement, and you can tell in his voice. Now, I mean, I've talked to him a handful of times, maybe almost a dozen times, and he's obviously a very funny guy. He's very, very intelligent, but they are feeling bad right now because of those sentences. So, yeah. All right. So yeah, that was his words that I read at the jail board. A couple others I did. I'm trying to remember who did this, but doesn't really matter. But a former inmate at this facility who has a long-standing hormone condition, I believe that's Nnrj, that getting medical treatment at the jail was a constant fight. Upon arrival, days. It took another 9 days until the medical staff agreed to provide his medication, and I'll finish that up in a moment.
Prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Andrew, talking.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept, you may begin speaking now.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going, Tom?
Doing good. In fact, I was just reading your words from last Friday night's vigil that I used at the jail board meeting, describing just how awful and slow the medical treatment is here in the Northern Neck Regional Jail. So again, thank you guys for last Friday for giving me that ammunition, because I think it was really, really impactful.
Awesome. Did they have any reaction to you when you read that?
They were just glad that we were done speaking, so that they could move on to their business. But I can tell you, all eyes were locked on me when I was speaking. So the words were simple, short, but powerful, and they came from you guys.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it changes for the better for the people that are still stuck there.
Well, that's right. Yep. And that's what we're here for, right? This is the reason we're still here. I mean, we obviously you're caring about you guys and where you are and what you're going through, but you guys are the ones that cracked the lid on this place and made people aware of what's going on and how things are being handled here.
Yeah, if we can't get the treatment and the rights that we need, hopefully those after us will be able to at least secure it, kind of trying to affect some kind of change, maybe. At least make some positive with my struggle, hopefully.
Well, you shouldn't be allowed to be touting yourself as a medical facility if you have the worst medical treatment of anywhere that we've heard. So I think that's number one. And then just some of the other basics need to get addressed as well. Commissary and exercise and the ability to get outdoors and everything else. So those are things that could fairly simply be changed by just having enough of the board to say, okay, there's enough of this. We've got to change that.
Also, the medical side of it, for any federal holdover, they're not even paying for it. They get reimbursed for everything. So, why are you trying to slow walk or deny care for people if you're not even having to pay for it? All you have to do is facilitate it. That is part of your job. That is how y'all make money, is hold these people, and these people need medical that you're not paying for. Just get it done, I don't see what the hard part about that is. Same struggle I'm going through here with, this doctor trying to say that he's got to be arbiter of the tax-paying dollar. Well, actually, you don't. The U.S. Marshals are still that arbiter, and they've already decided that things are reasonable and within scope, and now you're the one saying that you don't want to do it, even though somebody else pays for it. So finally, on my side, Northern Nick finally, I guess, got scared once, we started calling the jail, and they finally started with, "Oh, we're sorry, Mr. Taki. Yeah, we won't let this happen again. We'll get your stuff taken care of. Don't worry. We got you." Like, well, this is a change, and then they shipped us out a couple days later.
What occurs to me is that the culture here, and probably in all the jail systems, is part of the problem, which is deny, delay, and just obfuscate, and just, even if it doesn't cost anything, they don't care because they're trained to say no.
Yeah. Yep. Or just, let me check on that, or we'll be back in an hour. Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks. Hopefully some of the people in the Virginia State House that were brought in.
This call is from a federal prison.
Be able to actually completely follow through on some of the bills they were either did get passed or we're still working on getting passed. I'm not sure. Hopefully they're not just blank platitudes, empty platitudes there, that, there's actually still some teeth behind it, that the state is able to actually hold these places accountable. So.
And that's a great comment. I think you're referring to SB 581, which was looking into the commissary and the expenditures and all of that. And there was a panel that was put together that was supposed to research and gather information and report out. So it's one that me and John and others know that we've got to follow up on and see where that's at. But I think we will try to do that by the next time that we speak, so we can maybe have an update there.
And they drag out for a year or two and then just quietly sweep it under the rug. Hopefully people in that state house stay loud enough about this and keep actually fighting for some change. Even though I'm not from Virginia, that would still be good to know that, this little part of something that some of us January 6ers even were just involved with actually helped. It would be cool if Texas would do something like that in case I ever had to go there again. Not planning on going back to jail, but from Texas, so I don't know what kind of reforms they have going, but even though people are actually starting to take notice on some of this stuff and realize things are not right.
Well, I hope that's happening everywhere that J6ers are being held, that people are watching it and looking into it. And again, the fact that you guys have been, through so many different facilities, I think we're getting a real litmus test or at least a insight into something that how else would we have known? So I think that's one of the great positive things that's coming out of what you guys have been through.
Yeah, I've sure seen plenty of places. There's 6 facilities, 7 different moves. So I've definitely gotten around a little bit more than I thought I would.
What do they call it? Diesel therapy or something when they drive you around?
Oh, yeah, and that's kind of what they're doing here. They know what they're doing, keeping us pre-trial away from family, making things difficult, making us want to hurry up and take plea deals. But no. Diesel therapy. If you are a shithead and cause problems, they will bounce you from facility to facility nonstop. You'll never even get a chance to even remember people's names. So, you might spend a month in one place, 2 weeks somewhere, go 3 weeks and be in the hole somewhere, another month on another facility, a couple days here, a couple days there. They will just bounce you everywhere all over the country. Us, for the most part, they just brought most everybody up to the D.C. area. I still don't get this whole holding us in Pennsylvania and Virginia thing when we were supposed to go to D.C., but yeah, they sure do use or waste government resources.
I'm trying to remember who it was that when a lot of you guys were being pulled out of here and taken to Lewisburg, there was at least one guy that made the entire trip up to Lewisburg and was not allowed in, and then brought all the way back here. How awful that must have felt on that ride.
I don't think there was any. So I know somebody made it to the airport in Harrisburg where they meet up, and then got taken back. I believe. I don't know. Not sure. I think it's somebody that we do not associate with anymore because of some of the new stuff or some of the old stuff that has resurfaced about him being Antifa related. So I believe we're speaking about the same person there.
Well.
Yeah, somebody whose name we don't even speak about anymore. He has been removed from all of our sites, and anybody that writes us, we let know that at your own discretion. But here's the info that's been admitted to by this person. So yeah, we're still slowly weeding out some of those that are in our midst that have been hiding and trying to do as good of a job at hiding who they really are, that they were there to start shit that day. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I imagine they probably are a little scared to keep that identity hidden, aren't they?
Yeah. It's not easy to get the info out of them, but it'll come out. I mean, there's how we already know a good amount of FBI agents, metropolitan agents, or police officers all were in the crowd that day or embedded with other groups. So, we know they were in there. It's just getting the masses to realize that, yeah, they were all part of it too. There was a reason why when you walked through BLM Plaza in D.C., you did not see anybody there. There was maybe 5 people from Antifa, 5 BLM people. There were more Trump supporters in BLM Plaza that day than anybody else. So where do you think they all were? Real hard to figure out.
Yeah, for sure. I think I know I saw a few that looked very out of place, and it just seems something was really, really weird about that. So I can only imagine how many there were.
Yeah, and not to say that all of us were angels either, but it does not help when you have the agitators there getting the cops to attack us. So, all right, Tom, I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to save some of my minutes here. I still got a few calls to make this weekend, so I don't want to run out of minutes.
Well, we appreciate every time talking to you, Andrew. So definitely take care of yourself and hang in there and have a good rest of the week. Okay.
Will do. I will.
This call is from a federal prison.
I'll give you a shout back when we're not doing streaming stuff and grab an email from you if that's all right.
Sounds great. All right, thanks again. God bless you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, thank you. Bye.
I don't know that Tom's right. You're just shy of 21, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think they'll let you repass that.
I just was worried that the thing was working.
I know, I've been watching it. It's good. It's on YouTube. I shared it. I shared a lot. It's good. It'll reach people.
Good. Yeah, so this is YouTube Northern Neck Patriots. It's very easy to find, so
Yeah, I reposted it and gave people all those resources
good. Good,
and a
thank you.
copy of the Board of Supervisors letter. At least one of my fans will do something.
So that was Andrew's letter, that I was reading as he called, which was really cool. Yeah, but he's had some real issues, not only here at Northern Neck, but also at Lewisburg and elsewhere, getting the proper medication. He needs medication on a weekly basis, and they've just slow walked it. It's been awful. So anyway, glad to hear from him.
It's from a federal prison. It's from
Brian Jackson.
You may begin speaking now.
Oh,
Hey Brian, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Just called to say hello, see how you are doing tonight.
We're doing well. We're here. We've got we've had several calls already, and so that's great. I want to tune in tomorrow to the Lewisburg vigil. So Tammy's going to be doing that again, correct?
I'm not sure. She had to go back to Texas this weekend.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if somebody else was going to do it this weekend. I'm not really for sure if anyone's going to be doing it. I have no idea, to tell you the truth. I haven't talked to her about it. She won't be back until next weekend.
Okay. Well, I will definitely try to find that out, and maybe we can get the word out to folks. But to see who else.
Maybe Tommy Tatum or what was his name?
Stormtrooper, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
Tommy Tatum was going to do it.
Okay. We'll try to figure that out because I definitely want to watch that and get that out to folks.
Right.
So, have you seen any real improvements as far as from things overall like diet and overall general health? Sorry, there's a loud truck going by here. Just curious if you've had any real improvements as far as that goes that you want to talk about.
As far as health, the diets and stuff like that, yeah, something less Northern Neck did pretty good significant damage to us as far as health. We gained a lot of weight over there because of the way we were forced to eat, because of the soy they had on the trays. We were eating, pretty much living off honey buns and chips over there.
I was talking to Mason Corson's mom, and I asked her how much weight did he gain, and she said, well, it was the opposite for what you just said. Because of all the ramen noodles and starch and so on, he actually put on weight.
Yeah, we definitely put on weight. I think we all got bellies now. Now we're here trying to work them off. But yeah, we got a bigger rec yard here. We got weights and stuff here, so we're able to get out in the sunshine and stuff and, work it off. So, most of us, almost all of us pretty much go out every morning when they call rec and exercise for the most part, so. Get our health back a little bit, so I kind of lost my eyesight a little bit there. I don't know if it's because of age or maybe the diet. I've had some hypertension behind my eyeballs when I first got here. Now I wear glasses. Definitely got to wear reading glasses. I can't read without them.
Well, my friend, that's.
Before I got there, I could see,
The reading glasses is an age thing. From personal experience, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, other than that, yeah, well, I think we're all doing a lot better now since we're away from that area.
Well, that's great, and we're still keeping the pressure on. We were in here again on Wednesday at the board meeting, and I was reading some excerpts from some of the callers from last Friday around the medical conditions, and it definitely got everyone's attention here. So this is the best thing that we can do, is have you guys, provide you a place for your voice, and so it's really all about whatever you guys want to share and what you want to get out there, and I think that's providing the most impact of just about anything that we could do.
Right. How's it going with those board meetings so far? Is it making any progress, or?
Well, I would say the progress is happening probably kind of behind the scenes. We're making inroads with individuals on the board. The sheriffs, I believe, are on our side, and they've known about some of the issues here. I've spoken to former sheriffs, that go back years, and they talked about some of the concerns they had. So, yeah, I think this has been kind of boiling under the surface, and we just need to keep on the pressure. And I was telling someone earlier, can we shut this place down? Maybe not, but maybe we can get some real simple, basic changes that will make a great improvement for people's lives here.
It's not shut down. Definitely make some dramatic changes in that place. Probably definitely hiring different staff. More professional people there. They hire a bunch of kids off the streets that are they're just worthless. Unprofessional. It's the most unprofessional job I've ever seen. And I've been in a few jails in my lifetime, But Northern Neck definitely takes the cake for unprofessionalism. As far as their COs, medical staff, psychological, supposedly doctors that are there, There's just, it's a circus,
Well, the doctor spends 4 hours a month here, and this is directly from the mouth of the superintendent. 4 hours a month for 400 prisoners. So you can do the math on that and think about just how much someone actually gets to see the doctor.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I broke the tip of my finger there. All they did was, I complained about it the day it happened, and they x-rayed, and that was it, They didn't put in no spleen, no...
This call is from a federal prison.
Or anything, they just sent me back to my cell, and that was it, Doctor again, you put in a request form to see the doctor, but, you never see one. I guess it's so backed up, like you said, there's only 4 hours that he comes every month, so, 500 inmates that are there? How many inmates actually need medical attention every month,
Well, probably more than get it. I know that it takes multiple request forms to even get to see the nurse program here.
Well, a lot of times you got to get them to the COs too there, and they just, they chunk them to the side. I had a CO one time that found a piece of my mail that was underneath the desk in the little bubble in the control center. And I was probably sitting there about a month before the other CO found it. The only reason I got that piece of mail is because the CO knew who I was and found it on the floor and picked it up and gave it to me. Because, I found this underneath the desk in the bubble. I was like, well, gee, thanks a lot, So, you got to give your request forms and stuff like that to the CO. They don't give a damn about it. They just chunk it to the side. They don't care if it makes it to the infirmary or wherever department it's supposed to go to. So unprofessional there.
Well, I think that's part of it, and we were talking about this earlier, is it's just easier to say no or delay or whatever than actually do something that might make a difference. So that's culture, and that culture comes from the top down. Well, listen.
Progress and get it shut down or have it changed, either way.
Well, we got to keep it out and shine a light and get more and more people talking about it, and we've got to get more of our representatives involved. And, a lot of them just didn't want to touch it. They just didn't want to go anywhere near it, just like January 6th in general. But we can't let that happen.
Definitely keep the pressure on them, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, listen, anything else you want to say? I want to be conscious of your minutes.
No, that's about it, man. It was good talking to y'all. Thank y'all for coming out and supporting us. Are y'all sitting out front of the jail tonight, or are y'all down the road?
Now, we're in front of the jail tonight. I figured it was important, especially after being at the board meeting on Wednesday, that they know that we're still out here, and you know that they know, so that's good.
All right, yeah, that's about it. Give them the big finger for us before y'all leave tonight.
I always blow my horn every time I drive by the jail, too.
All right, Tom. It was good talking to y'all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
Y'all for supporting us. All right, bye.
Yeah, you can tell these guys are feeling the sentencing.
That's a whole bouquet, at least. That's a whole bouquet.
So this is the Northern Neck Regional Jail Inmate Handbook, Rules and Regulations. Now, I was told by another inmate, Chris Quaglin, who had the celiac disease and arrived here in the days leading up to Christmas of 2021, I believe it was. And with celiac disease, you know, you've got to have your food prepared. He has a severe case of it. Your food has to be prepared separately from anything else that gluten could be mixed in with it, bread, you know, flour, things like that. So when he arrived here, he couldn't eat the food that they were trying to serve him. And it took him days and days to get that sorted out, and actually months, because even when they claimed to have it figured out, he would still get sick because they were preparing things in the same vats or locations or whatever. But anyway, Chris had been around to a couple of different jails, including Rappahannock. And one of the phone calls I had with him, he described the handbook here. He said that's probably one of the best things about Northern Neck Regional Jail, is they actually have a very thorough handbook. Some of these other jails, they give you thing that's typewritten or you know, printed out in just very loose fashion and not that organized. So this is a fairly organized handbook. I said so at a board meeting that I'd heard that it was a good handbook, to give a little sugar, and I said I'd like to request a copy. So they gave me a copy as I left the jail board meeting that day, and it's been interesting. A couple of things I found. One is that when the jail had their last PREA investigation, Prison Rape Elimination Act, they have to do that every 3 years. They had, I'll get back to that in a minute on the PREA thing as well, if I can. Here we got another call.
Charged for this call. This call is from
Daniel Rodriguez.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept, you may begin speaking now.
Hey,
Hello.
Daniel, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? Is this Tom?
It is indeed. I'm glad to hear your voice again. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, how's everyone doing out there?
We're doing fine. It was a beautiful, beautiful blue sky day, and it's chilly, you know, cooling off a little bit, but just a gorgeous, gorgeous spring day out here. So we're happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. I remember when I first got out here to the East Coast, the weather, it was so weird to me, because when I was there in Northern Neck, we had snow that one winter, and I hadn't experienced snow. I was like, we're not even in the mountains. I don't understand. I was just so confused. Where I come from, you only get the snow in LA when you go to the mountains.
Wow, yeah. So this is a little different here, but this winter was not that bad. We had a couple minor snowfalls, but not a whole lot this past winter. Yeah.
I wanted to bring up a point there about something that I thought about when I was at Northern Neck, which was around 19 months I was in that jail. I noticed I felt we're from Gloucester, and I understand that Gloucester is a pretty nice town, but there's a drug problem there, and all these people that were there were from good families, it seemed like, and they were all on meth. Now, it's coming in from somewhere. It's not coming from there. It's being brought in there. And when I'm in California, the minority is Caucasian. It's white people. Now, it was all white people in this jail, and they're all on meth, and they're all from Gloucester, it seemed like. Now, there's you got the child abusers, the pedophiles, the people for theft and DUI and all that, but it was just a very strange number of Caucasians from Gloucester on meth, and I don't know if anything could be done about that. They got money, they come from good families, and they don't from that. Every time they get released, they go back, and then they fall right back into that, and they'll go back into that jail 3-4 times. And when I was there, I would see the same people go home, come back, go home, come back. So I don't know if you're aware of that. If anyone's ever brought that up.
Well, I do know that there's because at the jail board meetings, they always give a roster of the number of inmates by county. Gloucester's always relatively high. I know that much. And I do know that there is a drug problem in the Gloucester area. It has been one for years. And Gloucester is a nice little town. It's an historic town. Got a lot going for it, but there's certainly a problem out there. And now, were you saying that they were they also on drugs in the jail, or no? They were here because of meth.
I mean that they were on the outside doing meth, and I don't know, or I didn't hear about it, meth being in the jail, but I know that there's just an abundance of it there in their town, and whoever's bringing it in, I have a feeling that it's a minority, it's people of color that are giving it to them, and they're the ones that are trafficking in there. I don't know if they're Hispanic or black or what, but it's a different number, a ratio of prisoners that are on that drug compared to where I come from in LA County. It's the numbers are reversed. It's the people of color that are in jail, and very, very few white people. And in Gloucester and Northern Neck, it was the opposite, and it was kind of a shock to me.
Well, that's very interesting to know, and it would be good to find out, but of course it's private information, but it would be good to find out what some of the charges are for folks that have come through here, because I think that might be a way of getting at it and at the root of the problem to some degree.
It's very strange to me, especially with so much, the FBI and the CIA are all centrally located in Virginia. I mean, all these the drug enforcement and all these agencies, they're relatively near to DC, right? For that to not be, it's weird to me too, because DC has some of the worst crime, worst drugs, and they're right in our nation's capital. How come they can't get it straightened out in their own town, and they're trying to run the country? It's just something that I can't figure out, coming all the way from the West Coast. I've always heard that DC was bad, but when you see it, and I've been in that DC jail, and I've seen some.
This call is from a federal prison.
See some really crazy people in that jail, and they're from that area, and these lawmakers, and they just ignore it. I don't know.
Well, I think that part of it too, Daniel, is that you have a completely different tier of people in Congress and in government in Washington D.C. versus the folks that are living on the poverty line. I think there's a different level of caring, and frankly, that's what we call that, inside the Beltway, it's a much different world there than it is out here in the rest of Virginia. Northern Virginia is very, very liberal as well, so it's a lot different people when you get out into the real country.
Yeah, I always thought that if I was going to go to a trial, which I kind of wanted to in the beginning, I would have loved to have it in Virginia, because of it seemed like a bunch of good people, wholesome American type people, and I thought that I get it more boys,
they got found of seditious conspiracy, which is to me outrageous. They didn't even have a charge of an assault. I know those guys. They went and had tacos, and then they posed for pictures in front of the Capitol. They went and got some tacos, and then they came back. Is that how you plan an insurrection? Is that how you plan on overthrowing the government? It's ridiculous. 6, 7, 8% voted for Trump in D.C. That's a Democrat stronghold right there. And for anybody to say that was a fair trial, that's absurd.
Well, right. And then the other part is that the lockdowns around the Capitol after January 6th made it very, very inconvenient for everybody that lived in the city. And so it basically poisoned the jury pool against Nnrj Sixers when they came forward. So, yeah, that narrative was it worked hard, and they definitely it influenced the judges, it influenced the juries, influenced everybody associated with it.
Yeah, and it's not wide known that the FBI and a lot of these people, these politicians, they had information that January 6th was going to potentially get violent, and they essentially used the officers as pawns. They if anybody died or anyone was going to get hurt, they were willing to take that chance. And once again, we got to say it, 0 police officers were killed that day. 0. We killed none. On our side, we lost patriots. They lost 0. And they're calling it an armed insurrection. If we planned on going and killing people, then people would be dead. We would kill people. But we didn't. And that's not what the plan was. It never was. So for them to say that, it's a total lie. They had Trump said to put 10 to 20,000 National Guard out front. They declined that. The mayor and Pelosi, they declined that. We always been saying it was a setup. We know that there was officers in that crowd, that there was FBI in that crowd. On our side, we had officers and military, and we had all kinds of patriots, veterans that love this country, wearing red, white, and blue. And when we showed up, we said that there was something fishy going on. There was some election integrity stuff that needed to be addressed. And look at all this. Years later, we find out that it's the FBI, the ones that came right after us. We're protecting the Bidens. They're still protecting them to this day. What happened? Right up, didn't they? When I got to the Capitol grounds, I didn't see any fence. I didn't see any signs that said, "Get off this property, private property. You will be." If I saw something that said 10 years, 1 year, 20 years, whatever, if it said you're going to go to jail, leave, I would have left. Nobody saw anything like that. But they put up all those proper fencings, that barricades the very next day. They could have done that day, and they wanted this to happen that day. And for all those officers that went through that traumatic experience, I'm sure it was traumatic for them for those few hours. That was done on purpose to you guys. You guys knew that we were coming and knew that we were angry, and rightly so. We were very angry. Some of us are still angry, and some are even more angry now because of all the stuff that's coming out. Joe Biden's taking a bribe. There's whistleblowers coming out all over the place. And whistleblowers are to be protected by law. It's not a courtesy. It's not if we like you or not. No, you witness something, something. You need to come out. There's FBI listening right now. Stuff. Speak up. You see what's going on with this country. It's ridiculous.
You're spot on with the whistleblowers, and by the way, we have whistleblowers here at Northern Neck Regional Jail that you would. So hopefully we can start to share more of that, and let you guys know what we find out.
Yeah, no, that's good. I know that there's just a mix of everybody out there, and it's hard to do the right thing sometimes. It's pretty easy to do nothing. So we all have to do our part. There's certainly some suspicious stuff going on in DC and with our president right now. And he doesn't even want to acknowledge his own grandchild. Hunter Biden is crowdfunding right now, asking the public for money for his lawyers for this child support thing. I mean, nobody knows who's buying this art. He's supposedly some artist and selling this art and he's asking for money, and there's all this stuff about bribery and selling off this country and this inside stuff and with Burisma. And what the heck is going on with the Ukraine? Who supports that? Do any of you out there support the Ukraine still, that we need to be over there, or we got to be worried about our border?
It's definitely more important right now, and I think there's some real concern. I understood that they deployed maybe some National Guard or something, they deployed troops down there because of this type.
Yeah, when Trump wanted to do that, it was no way, we can't do that. Oh, that's racist. But look at what they're doing now. That's what we said. What about the border wall? These people, they are just so backwards. They're gonna try to do something crazy with this next election. Joe Biden, he doesn't take any questions. He's trying to shake hands with the air. He's not competent. He is incompetent. So is the Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's totally not qualified for any of this. They are just puppets, clearly. People have them there, and they're doing everything they're told, and that's why they have their support to rerun in 2024, because they're doing everything they're being told to do.
I have to say, you guys, I feel like, are more informed about what's going on in the world these days than a lot of the people that I know outside. So my hat's off to you, my friend.
Well, thank you, brother. I mean, that's why we're in here, because we care. We care. If you know what you care about, and it goes with anything in life. We care about this country. We care about not only our families, but your families, the families of the people who live on the next block and another neighborhood that we never will meet in the next city. We care about everybody's future and what's going on. And this is what team we play for. We play for this team, and this is what team we're fighting for. And they're taking it down as fast as they can. We can't turn our backs on politics, because they will turn on us.
Chance to make changes in politics, because I think if that's an interest you have, but I can tell that you're knowledgeable and you have a good understanding of what the fabric of America really is, and as do so many of you guys that I talk to. So I'm very, very proud to know every single one of you.
I appreciate the kind words, sir. Thank you very much. And be safe, everybody. The phone's about to hang up. Thank you, everybody. If anybody wants to write me, my federal number is 375-67509. I'm here, coming from Lewisburg. You guys have a great night.
Have a great night, and God bless.
All right, God bless you too, brother. Have a good night. Bye.
So that was the second time I got to speak to him, and he's a very positive person.
Totally hiring.
Yeah, Daniel Rodriguez. All right, so let's see. It's getting dark here. Oftentimes we used to have lights on, but I think it's still working. What matters is you can hear. So we got about another 20 minutes. Might as well give it a try and then sing the national anthem at the end. Handbook. PREA, I was speaking of that. PREA, Prison Rape Elimination Act, requires that the facility has a top-down inspection from everything from the administrative spaces all the way down through the jail, and part of that is notification process about PREA, what it is, and making sure that inmates, as they are processed through the system, understand it. They're supposed to have an introduction when they're screened and brought in, to be given their rights around PREA, and it explains what constitutes sexual harassment, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and they're supposed to pressure, I believe, 30 days upon arrival. That was something that was not being done here, and that came out of the PREA report, and I brought it to the attention of the jail board, who I don't think knew about it.
Prison. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Elmer Rhodes.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept this call, press 5. To block this call, you may begin speaking now.
Hello.
Hey Stuart, this is Tom.
Hey Tom, how are you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Holding up.
Good.
Holding up.
Good.
To the neck, right?
Yeah, we were outside the jail tonight. Last week we were in town in a pavilion because of the rain, but it was a gorgeous day today, and so we're right outside the jail. So got a small crowd here tonight, but we're here.
That's awesome. Appreciate your support and your support for all the J6ers out there. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to the Proud Boys who were just put through their show trial in D.C. and, you know, found quote unquote guilty yesterday. I just wanted to put a shout out to them that, just like with us Oath Keepers, we know they're innocent, we know they're political prisoners, and we know that this is a persecution campaign, and, you know, they didn't commit a crime, but a crime was committed against them. So that's how I see it, and just, you know, chin up, chest out, and we know that in the end we'll win. So as long as we stay solid and don't fall into despair, which I'm sure they won't. They're all solid guys. But just the folks out there, you know, we all had a mission in D.C. that day to protect people against Antifa, both Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. That's what they were doing there. That's what we were doing there. That's why they were wearing goggles and helmets and body armor. It's like one of our guys were. It was against Antifa in the streets, because we've experienced through the entire Trump administration Antifa being violent, attacking Trump supporters, including in Washington, D.C. You know, not too long before that, I think it was back in December of 2020, there were some Proud Boys who were actually stabbed by Antifa. So, you know, we know they're innocent. We know what they were there to do. They're there to fight Antifa, not Congress. And it's an absurd nonsense lie. It's the big lie now that they're created to create the excuse for basically setting aside the Constitution, and especially the First Amendment, and persecuting Trump supporters.
So, how long had you been attending those kinds of events? And you mentioned the stabbings.
Since the rooftops of Ferguson in 2014, when BLM got started, and they were burning down half the city. We were on the rooftops. That's when we got started doing security operations. You know, volunteer security. We were protecting a black-owned bakery and the other shops that were next to her, and also the apartments above the shops. There were people living there, and you have the radical communists, and these are all, you know, led by a bunch of out-of-town white communists. That's who came in and were coaching people and encouraged them to commit arson. It was almost all out-of-towners. But yeah, that's when we got our start. But certainly through the entire Trump administration, starting with Berkeley, twice in Berkeley, California, and we were there with the Proud Boys. We worked together to protect events against Antifa, because the police were being ordered by the political bosses to stand down and let it happen, let people just brawl. And so we stepped in, and like I said, the Proud Boys helped, and a bunch of bikers showed up, and we kept the event secure. And we did that through the entire Trump administration. We worked side by side many times in the streets, including in Washington, D.C., many times. So they're good guys. There's some Proud Boys here with me right now. They're good men. So I know they're innocent. We had a legitimate grievance that day on January 6th, because that election was stolen. It was actually an unconstitutional coup. It violated Article 2 of the Constitution, because it didn't comply with state laws established by the state legislature, which violated Article 2. So it's a legitimate grievance to protest. That's what we're there to do, and to protect the protesters. But there was no plan to go inside the Capitol, no plan to attack Congress. That's just all nonsense. They've created that to justify persecuting President Trump. They're going to indict him, I believe. They're going to indict him for the same charges they've used against us Oath Keepers and against the Proud Boys. seditious conspiracy is the old Civil War statute that was passed during the Civil War to make it easy to go after people that the Lincoln administration wanted to go after. And they intentionally left out an act element in the crime, unlike other sedition or other conspiracy statutes, which require an act in furtherance of the conspiracy. For seditious conspiracy, there's no act requirement, so it's just purely a thought crime statute. So they're going to do, to all the Trump supporters, same thing they've done to us, is use your social media posts, your constitutionally protected, supposedly, free speech, your political speech will be used against you. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep on going.
I think you're right about that, and so I think it's going to take more folks like yourselves who speak out. And I'm curious: is there anyone that you know of? Some loud traffic going by. Is there anyone you know of that's kind of putting together the chronicles of both the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys? And because I think that would be fascinating for people to learn more about it.
I really don't know. I know Julie Kelly wrote a book about J6. I'm sure she's going to revise it, I'm sure. But I don't know anybody else. But I might do that.
This call is from a federal prison.
I would encourage the Proud Boys to write their own history. I would encourage Nnrj and others in the leadership there to do that. And I'll probably do the same thing for Oath Keepers. If I can, we'll see. It's hard to do that. It's hard in here. It's hard to communicate with the outside world. It's hard to get things done. But we'll try. But I think the big picture right now should be that Congress should be holding hearings. They should hold their own version of the J6 Select Committee and do the real work of sorting out what really happened that day and what didn't happen, and expose the big lie. But it's just all it's a show trial. It's just like being in the Soviet Union. You're not going to get a fair trial in Washington, D.C. It's a foregone conclusion. And they're setting it up on purpose to deny venue change, for example, as a stepping stone to President Trump. And they're going to indict him. It's coming pretty quick. So, they just had Pence testify the other day. I think they wrapped up the grand jury for the most part, and they're going to charge him. So people need to understand we live in two Americas now. There is the communist America, sadly, that's dominated by the left. All these big cities, anywhere where they dominate, they're going to persecute and prosecute conservatives. So that's just the way it is. And Washington D.C. is the capital of Libertaria. It's just the capital of communist America.
Well, you've got that nailed for sure. So I want to be conscious of your minutes. Anything else you want to share out there? Because I got to say, I'm feeling real good. We're getting a lot of callers in here, and I think a lot more people are going to be listening. I know John Haynes is listening, and is probably going to be reporting on this. So anything else you want to get out?
Well, more of the conservative talk show hosts out there should be talking about the Proud Boy trial and the Oath Keeper trials. Oath Keeper trials ended last month. They're not able. I think Mark Levin talked about it a little bit on his show with Julie Kelly, but very few of them talk about it. And they need to be focused on it because it's the destruction of the First Amendment. That's what it is. It's not going to be confined just to a few people who went in the Capitol, or even the ones who didn't, who were in D.C., like myself. And Taro didn't even go into D.C. He was on the outside of D.C., so they got him with it anyway. It's a very loose statute with very vague standards in it. It makes it very easy to persecute for free speech, and they've set aside the Supreme Court's standard for free speech with the Supreme Court since 1968, I think it was. Brandenburg versus Ohio had a standard of incitement of imminent violence or imminent unlawful activity that's likely to occur. They've set that all aside. The jury are not being instructed on any of that at all. So it's fair game and wide open now for open season on the First Amendment. So just watch out.
Well, I think that's great advice. So I agree. I think we need to have more people covering what's going on, and hopefully that will continue to change as we get more and more people speaking up.
It must be some kind of weird political consideration they're making. Like, well, those people, we're going to forget about them and not talk about them. We have to tune in to CNN to see what's going on in the Proud Boys trial. Fox News is not even covering it at all. And the guys that came here before me, when I got here, they said the same thing happened with the Oath Keeper trial. They had to go tune into CNN to get any updates on the trial. Fox News wasn't covering it. And the same is true for, you know, a lot of the conservative talk show hosts out there. They just don't cover the trials. So it's like they're just brushing it under the rug and just leaving us to throwing us to the wolves. It's not smart. It's a dumb strategy.
Well, it's going to come back, I believe, because eventually this is going to come out. So I know it feels like it's interminable and it's just taking forever, but I do believe it's going to come out, and it has to, or else we won't have a country.
Right. Well, truth will out eventually. You know, we'll stay strong, and that's the other thing I want to say to all the J6ers out there. Is just this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long-term fight. So just stay strong and faith, keep your hope.
Those are great words, sir. Thank you so much for calling, and you stay strong, okay?
I will do. God bless you guys. Take care. Bye. Bye.
So a couple things I wanted to make sure to recap. We started out speaking to Mel Hawley, Justice in Jeopardy. Amazing podcast she does with January 6ers. I think she told us over 60 or 70 so far that she's done. But also attorneys and family members, and so probably hundreds of podcasts she's done. So definitely check out Justice in Jeopardy. .us. That's SOV as in Victor, SOULS .us. Also want to give a shout out to Mickey Withoff. She was busy tonight. I often try to talk to her and just check in with her. She and others, Nicole Reffitt, and another group, you know, more folks go to the trials almost every single day. So they start their day out by going to the trials. And then they end up every single night in DC at 7 to 9, just like we're doing here. We do this once a week, Friday nights, but they're there every night, bringing light to the situation there. What's kind of cool in DC is they can actually see windows in the jail, and the folks inside can see them outside. So there's usually a dozen people or so waving lots of flags and making a pretty big great vigil that they do. And they do the same thing. They get a lot of callers in. But Mickey Withoff, her website, Mickey, of course, is Ashley Babbitt's mother. Her website is that's the number 4, Ashley, ASHLI.com. One of the things Mickey said they're planning is a Memorial Day walk for Ashley. So I want to get more information on that. But you can definitely check that out at 4. People I want to shout out to, we heard someone mention it earlier. See, these are some of the podcasters that are out there doing this, you know, in DC every night or up in Lewisburg. One is a gentleman named 1791 Stormtrooper, so you can look that up. That's 1791 Stormtrooper. Another platform is Glory B. That's GLORY, Glory B, as in BEE. We spoke to Nnrj, who is Mason Corson's mother, so that was great. The other thing I wanted to share with folks, and I meant to tell everybody that about the Virginia Tea Party Summer Summit, which is going to be on June 10th at the Richmond Airport Sheraton. I've been to it twice now. They do it twice a year. It's a great opportunity to do networking and meet other folks, and not just the Tea Parties, but some of the great speakers they have in there and other groups that support the conservative movement. So Nelson Velez is the chairman of the Virginia Tea Party, and we talked during an interview that he and I did. He wants to get as many of these folks that I just named off into that event as possible. He called them profiles in courage, and he's right. So definitely going to follow up and see if we can get some people to come to that event. So a couple of other things. Sentencing, I'm trying to do that now to keep a little bit more tabs on what's going on. It changes quite a bit, as you heard. Barry Ramey, who often calls in and maybe tonight took a break, June 1st is his sentencing date. Robert Morse, Lego Man, May 25th. That was postponed, and I think it was supposed to have been just last week, and they or earlier this week, and they postponed it to the 25th. And then Kelly Meggs, who the first time spoke to him of the Oath Keepers, well, I'm not sure what that was, but whether they had a date for that or not. But anyway, we're about at the end of the vigil. I'm not sure if we're going to have any more callers. We got 6 minutes. We'll give it a moment, and then we'll wrap up with the national anthem at 9 o'clock. You went to the burger place again, didn't you?
But I didn't really eat. I got fries, sort of, but I had two and threw them away. Yeah, it was not as successful. I had an hour to kill. Basically, killed nobody. It's okay. I can spend another Friday night alone.
Well, you're not alone.
That's true.
What better group of people could you spend time with? I mean, besides us, those folks online. I wasn't keeping track. What is it, 8 callers maybe?
Oh, you called
Not counting the people I called.
Another lady, so yes.
No, I'm not counting them. I'm counting.
There was
Yes.
James Tate was again. I thought he said Brown. Okay, James Brown. He was the second caller. Well, who was the first caller? We lost one then.
Yeah, we did miss one.
Yeah, that's okay.
I did miss one.
That's all right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think we wrote it down. Was he born disorganized?
Disorganized?
Disorganized.
Well, thanks for doing
And
it.
a time stickler.
You're done?
Well, I think so. Unless you get some more.
He likes a tight ship, you know. I think we should raise concerns about the budget, like at 2 minutes before the end.
Concerns about the budget for Northern Neck Patriots? Yeah. Yeah. Well, this thing is recorded.
I know. Just
keep getting these annoying texts all the time while I'm talking. Oh, it's you. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. Give me nice notes. Like how proud I am of you and stuff. It was in the moment. I had to do it.
Gotta get it out there while you
And I
can.
sent you these great pictures of you for posterity.
Yeah. It's interesting because your turn this way. You don't see everything that's going on, but you might have noticed the prison van pull in, go into the roll-up door, and then sort of went around, exited the other way, and went on out and went back. So who knows? The windows are tinted. You can't tell if there's anybody in it or not. But
Well, look, there's even not. I looked at it. I thought it looked like a prison van, but it wasn't even marked.
No, it wasn't marked.
Well, I was interested in that big pickup truck, the black one that came in.
Yeah, he's still over there. And he had a young.
On the back of his window,
Yeah, he's got some patriotic decals, I noticed. And he had the window down. He was listening.
It was really.
Yeah.
He wants to vote for Kayla.
I wish for his.
Kayla.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, maybe. You should. Where's your bumper stickers? You should be putting them all over the jail here.
Right? You need to get bumper stickers. You're right.
Well, I also saw one guy that had a license plate with he's a bail bondsman. He had a license plate or something to that effect. Well, the moon's coming up. Anyone want to join me in the national anthem?
Oh, we'll see if I can remember that.
You know, what if
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. USA! 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 And that's it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
He's good. He's done quite a bit of speaking in front of crowds and
Still burger and beer? Parents?
I can't do it.
Friends? So we tried.
It was so nice meeting you.
it was terrific that you made this long trip.
Thank you, and thank you for your positive attitude